morning, Chicago Cubs fans. We are back with another edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steve, and Ryan. The Chicago Cubs are on the board. They make a move to go and get an impact starting pitcher. We're going to talk about Edward Cabrera and what he could bring to this team. We're going to talk about the players that were in the deal, the official trade. Cubs are acquiring Edward Cabrera. They are sending over top prospect Owen Casey, Christian Hernandez, and Edgardo de Leon. We're going to talk about how great of a move this could be for the Cubs. We are going to miss Owen Casey, but we're going to get into all that and more. But before we get into all that, just want to give everyone a big thank you once again for continuing to show support. We are 20 away from 1,000 subscribers. So if you're locked on in for the Cubs content, let's make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Let's get into what we want to talk about, right? Edward Cabrera is a Chicago Cub, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what the Chicago Cubs needed in this moment, right? It had been a very dry offseason. Not a lot of rumors. Cubs are always the bridesmaid. They're never the bride. They're not going to spend anything. I see the comments. I see all that. They made a move. They're planting their foot down. They are starting to begin to balance out the fact that they are going to need players after this year, which, again, I've said on the channel multiple times. I was not anticipating Edward Cabrera. It was kind of just feeling like we were going to sign another pitcher, but the Cubs able to make this trade. Edward Cabrera, ladies and gentlemen, the basic baseball numbers are not a lot. They do not tell you a lot about Edward Cabrera. He can be kind of erratic, but he's got an insane potential level, ladies and gentlemen. And that is what the Cubs are going to be playing for here in that sense, right? So this is this is going to be Edward Cabrera. Last year was one of his best seasons pitching. Unfortunately, though, he has struggled here but the Marlins. But again, a two-war pitcher in his younger days, right? He has a lot of good stuff. Blister injuries, no structural damage. All the medical reports came back good on Edward Cabrera. So I'm very, very excited to have him. And I think one big key, though, that we're not talking about enough here for Edward Cabrera is his stuff, okay? So this is Baseball Savant, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of the best tools out there if you do not know about it. But you can check out a lot of great stats, right? This is his changeup. This is what he throws 25% of the time. Curveball, sinker, got that slider, and that four-seam fastball. So he really does rely on these three pitches, the changeup, the curveball, and the sinker, which are just wicked pitches when he's absolutely executing. But if you want to take a look here, you see his four-seamer can reach 97 miles an hour. The sinker is a 97-mile-per-hour pitch on average. Really, really good stuff. His changeup is at 94.2 miles an hour, ladies and gentlemen. Just really good, wicked stuff. The curveball has a lot of movement. And, pairing him with Wrigley Field, and then he has a great high ground ball rate as well. I think this could be a really, really good match for the Cubs. Obviously, there's an injury history with Edward Cabrera, and, it's a lot worrisome. This is the first time he's pitched over 100 innings in a season, but hey, Matthew Boyd was hurt most of his career. He gave us a full season last year. I think there's just a lot more potential with this Edward Cabrera, and he throws it hard, ladies and gentlemen, and this could be the exact kind of guy the Cubs needed. I'm not going to call him the Jake Arrieta trade. That's just way too much pressure, and that's way too much expectation, but you got to have stuff to be great, and, if the Cubs pitching lab can really do a good job with some of these other guys, imagine if they can really rectify that talent that is Edward Cabrera, and you could have a really good 2-3-man rotation here with Horton, Cabrera, and we got Steele, right? But Jackson Wiggins as well. So just a lot of good potential right here for Edward Cabrera and this rotation. So we know pitching's not going to be a problem. But, we are losing something in the deal, and we're going to be losing Owen Casey, unfortunately. He was our top prospect. Had some good moments last year, but this kind of does play into the clever thinking, right? We were wondering, why isn't he available? Why isn't he playing? Why isn't he getting any playing time? Obviously, he had that concussion issue, but I think the Cubs did not want to expose him all too much. I didn't think they wanted to run that risk so that the Marlins still see him as desirable, and they wanted him. So not sure if the Cubs necessarily gave up on Owen Casey, but this was a big time need, right? The Cubs are going to need controllable pitching, especially given the fact that a lot of pitching is leaving after the 2026 season. So Owen Casey, man, unfortunate, part of the business, but we absolutely needed to make this deal. Go and get this guy. Christian Hernandez, at one point was, I believe, one of the highest paid international free agents, but unfortunately he just has not panned out. Cubs got him in 2021 when he was like 16 years old. He has not progressed past single A ball, so his time's kind of up. And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to be very candid with you. I don't know enough about Edgardo de Leon to give you an honest assessment of him, so I think the Cubs made out like a bandit in this deal. I think this is an absolute win for Jed Hoyer. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I literally talked about in the video yesterday, okay? I'm not a predictor, okay? But there are trends and there are things that the Cubs do pretty solidly, I say. Not every team can win the World Series, so it's kind of tough. Obviously, we know that they don't spend money well, but I do know one thing. Michael Busch was part of one of these kind of like low-key interim deals, right? Michael Busch was acquired in that capacity, right? PCA being traded for a star, right? That kind of thing. We just knowing when to send guys away and send to get him, who obviously he's failed at this too, but this is a really, really good deal for the Chicago Cubs. Owen Casey might have been something special for this offense, but he needed a much better legit shot at playing right field every single day. I think that's the only way we're going to know about Owen Casey. And he could end up being really good, or he could literally be like Matt Mervis. Matt Mervis was supposed to be the savior of first base as well. So you never know with prospects. And again, you don't really know with Edward Cabrera either, but Edward Cabrera has a lot of great upside. And if this pitching lab can harness him and lock into his talents and skills, then Jed, man, masterclass session here. We still keep Rojas. We still keep Jackson Wiggins. We still have Kevin Alcantara. We still have Mo Bala. We still have a lot of good young prospects. Jonathan Long is still available as well. I think the Cubs did a really, really good job because a lot of the projected reports were, Casey and Alcantara and, like a lot of those upper name guys. Cubs kept all of them. James Triantos is still a Cub, etc., etc. So just a really good job by Jed Hoyer. Could this end up being a disaster? Absolutely. But you know what? We complain that he never makes a move. We complain, etc., etc. He's taking swings. He might not hit it all the time, but he's taking swings, and Jed ain't going down like that. So great addition. And the way the Cubs got him, it was via a trade. So could this open the door for a big bat signing? I am dreaming of Bo Bichette. I haven't heard anything on Kyle Tucker, except that the Blue Jays are interested in him. Are they the only ones in the running? What is the move with him? Cody Bellinger, how does he fit into this offense, right? Cubs get one more big bat to really help this offense with that pitching staff. And if we can do another good masterclass with the bullpen again, yeah, maybe Vegas was onto something yesterday when it said the Cubs are going to be favorites to win the division. So you know what? This opens up about $25 million. But this is the time, Mr. Ricketts, to get into that luxury tax, okay? Get into that luxury tax because it's all going to be reset here probably with a pending new CBA. Just take the bullet now. Go out, maybe get yourself a chance at getting to the NLCS and improving upon what we did this year, right? I'm saying go get a Bo Bichette, go get a Kyle Tucker, and if you really want to say F it, you go get both, but that's not going to happen. But either way, this is how you set yourself up through the lockout potentially. Good, young, controllable pitching like Edward Cabrera, and again, the Cubs still have plenty more moves to make. We still have talent that we can distribute for more assets on this Major League roster, and again, I appreciate every one of you who keeps tuning in to Cubs Daily. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.